So for naming covalent compounds, there is a system using prefixes. You may remember we did, right before Christmas, we did a little virtual lab, and it actually had a little bit of this in there. So this may look a little bit familiar from that. So these are the prefixes. This is something else that normally, normal school year, you'd have to memorize, but you guys will have access to this since you have access to your notes. So the prefixes are all here. So the prefix basically just tells us how many of each atom there are in the formula. Super easy. Couple little notes as far as spelling goes. Notice here it says that when a prefix that ends in A or O is put before oxygen, they usually drop it. In other words, if you don't do like tetra oxide, if there's 4 oxygens, you basically drop that A and then it's tetroxide or pentoxide. So normally, some of these prefixes, see how they ended in A? If it's before oxygen, we drop that A. So that's just a little quick thing for spelling. You do have this here. Like I said, you can use it as a reference. So here are some examples that they gave. So notice if you look at the formula, there's 2 nitrogens, so it's going to be dinitrogen. There's 4 sulfurs, so it's going to be tetrasulfide. We do change the ending of the second one to "ide." Make sure you do that. So it's not dinitrogen tetrasulfur. You always change the ending of the second one to "ide." The other rule is if there's only one of the first thing, we don't put mono in front. So notice this doesn't say mononitrogen. I know it says it somewhere here. So you don't ever use mono on the first element. So notice this one was xenon. It's not monoxenon hexafluoride. This is not monocarbon tetrachloride. So you do use every other prefix, and you do put mono if it's on the second thing. So covalent compounds, this is just a reminder that they're usually nonmetals with other nonmetals. There's a few exceptions we've talked about, but for the most part, metals with nonmetals. And then the prefix, here's that prefix thing that I just told you. The prefix mono is only on the second element. You don't ever put it on the first element if there's only one of them. So if we look at our first one here, there's only 1 carbon, but we don't put monocarbon. And then what's our prefix for 2? Di, right? So this is going to be carbon dioxide. Here's our second one. So there's 2 nitrogens. So this is going to be dinitrogen. And there's only 1 oxygen. So monoxide. You don't write monooxide. You just drop one of the O's. So there's a di. Mono. So we're changing the ending of the second element to "ide. And then we're putting prefixes in front to tell us how many there are. So you guys take 5 minutes and try these, and we'll go over them together. And then you can also skip down to these. These are named, and you have to figure out the formulas. So see if you can do both of those. Finish all of those. So take a couple of minutes. I'll give you like 6 or 7 minutes actually, and then we'll go over those together. And then I'm going to give you the remainder of the period to do the worksheet where you're going to name them on your own.